Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the All Souls live stream worship gathering for Sunday, March 22nd. As we serve the greater good by remaining physically apart during this time of contagion, we nevertheless come together in mind and spirit through the gifts of technology. As we acknowledge the dangers and difficulties of these days, we remind one another to practice kindness, resilience, and care for ourselves and each other. We reaffirm the commitment of our faith to the values of reason and truth, growing knowledge and wonder, personal responsibility, and mutual care for the common good. We ground ourselves in community, beauty, and hope, so that we may not be overcome by panic, but work steadfastly together for a brighter future. As we begin our time together, I want to remind us that stress, grief, and fear live in our physical bodies and can become toxic over time. I also notice that our bodies carry a lot of ambiguity right now. We want to protect them, and at the same time, our physicalness is what makes us vulnerable. It is our bodies that can become sick and put us in danger. Now, it is important to remain integrated as a whole self, body, mind, heart, and spirit. This is the best way to keep anxiety or despair from taking over. So I invite you to notice your body right now as sacred space and a source of blessing. Consider your hands that we are instructed to wash so vigorously and to keep away from our face. Our hands reach out into the world and pick up germs, it's true. But our hands connect us to the world. They do work. They tell us of texture and warmth. They signal our thoughts. They offer caress. They point to the stars. Our hands are good gifts, the instruments through which our care is made real. When you clean your hands, I invite you to do it not with revulsion for their contamination, but as an act of reverence and gratitude for their power to serve and to connect. Attend to your body and stay grounded there. One of the many things our hands can do is to light a flame. Now is the time that we kindle our flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition. If you have a chalice or a candle at home, I invite you to join with me and light that flame where you are. If you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you may see the comment button. If you click it, you should be able to type. If that works for you, I invite you to send a comment telling us all where you are participating. Say, the chalice is lighted in Brookside, or the chalice is lighted in Raytown, or the chalice is lighted at 57th and Oak Street, or the chalice is lighted at John Knox Village. I will light our congregational chalice here, and we will pause for a moment to watch where else the chalice is lit. you to speak again with me the words of our community's covenant promise. Together, let us affirm, goodwill is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Next, we will have our opening hymn, followed by a special message from UUA President, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. Then, our new board president here at All Souls, Andrea Johnson, and I will discuss decisions made by the board in response to the coronavirus pandemic and our congregation's plans going forward. Our children's focus will be a touching video by filmmaker Jesse Arrett, followed by Rebecca Gant with a poem from our colleague Lynn Unger. Then Sherry Ansbach will share some thoughts about continuing to support All Souls during this crisis, and Tom Lancaster will sing for our offertory. The opening hymn is Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. The words will be on your screen, and we invite you to sing along.
Hello, dear ones. I'm Susan Frederick Gray, President of your Unitarian Universalist Association, and I'm coming to you from my home where I and all of us at the UUA are moving to virtual operations and working from home. As we navigate these incredibly difficult and uncertain times for our country and our global community, I want you to know that I am holding you and all of our congregations, our members, our leaders, our people in my heart. I pray that you are making time to tend to your own heart and your own spirit. Take gentle care of yourselves. It is really easy to feel overwhelmed or inadequate or caught in fear these days. With all of the anxiety, grief, and fear that is real in this time, I believe that pastoral care and connecting across physical distance will be ever more important. As you tend to your own community and to each other, remember to take time to slow down, to breathe, to lean into your mission as a community and to the needs of your community. There really is no script for these times, and no one practice will work for all congregations. Leaning into mission, taking a time to slow down and think about what's most important can help guide you in this time. And remember that we're all learning here, trying new things and adapting as the news changes and conditions change. Perfection is never the goal. The goal is to care for one another and to live compassionately and mindful that we are in this together and that we are one human community and one you community. Know that your care and intention for one another really make a difference in this time, both to the people you know and love as well as for your own well-being. I'm enormously grateful for all of you and your commitment to one another and to our wider faith. It's times like these when we feel how deeply important our living tradition is and how much we need one another. I love you all so much. I'm proud of the way that Unitarian Universalists are taking this situation seriously and responding out of deep care. I'm proud of the ways that we are putting compassion and community care at the forefront of all we do. I am with you all in this time. I too am finding my way bit by bit. As the weeks go on, our needs may change. But let us remember how important it is to be bound together in religious community, connected to one another and offering both our care and our stories and sources of resilience and hope for this time. I love you all. Be well. Take good and gentle care of yourselves. Many blessings to each and every one of you.
Hi, All Souls. This is Kendyl Gibbons, and I'm here with Andrea Johnson, who's stepping in as the new president of our Board of Trustees. We send our grateful thanks to Reagan Buat, who was the president for the earlier part of this year. She's had some family health issues, needed to step back. So Andrea's taking office a little early before the annual meeting. Andrea, you've picked a crisis time to be stepping into leadership here at the church. Can you tell us a little about what decisions the Board of Trustees has made in response to the coronavirus crisis?
Sure, and I have to say I didn't pick it, I was picked, but I'll do my best to
We
step
appreciate
up.
it.
Thank you. We did meet for our regular board meeting this past Wednesday and definitely focused more on coronavirus than what we typically would on our agenda. Spent most of our agenda on that one topic, which is not common. We did vote to follow all CDC recommendations, even though as a church we're allowed to be exempt from some of those, but we are going to go ahead and be true Unitarians and follow the scientific evidence.
Good.
And restrict all meetings in the church to less than 4 or 5 people, and even those need to come through the staff because the building will not be staffed as normal. However, we do find church community very important and have started work on creating Zoom meetings so that we can meet together virtually through phone or computer, as well as continuing online services, which is more in Kendyl's ballpark there. But those will continue and hopefully grow and become their own type of service, unique from what we're used to seeing when we meet here together and brag.
So nobody's in the building, not for forum, not for services, not for RE, is that right?
Correct. All large meetings are outside, and only a very few small ones, like the board meeting that we had, which actually will be our last one that was done in person. Going forward, they will be virtual completely. This was about half virtual, half here.
Yeah. So we're getting practice.
We are getting practice.
That's great.
Yes, and we had our first successful chat last night. About 30 of us met online together and just checked in with each other and got to experiment with the new technology.
Yeah. We're all going to learn a lot, I think.
I think so. It's a learning curve for all of us.
And the staff is working from home, so we've been planning for that for a little while, and so people need to check if they want to come to the building, right?
Yes, yes. Please call, check, make arrangements to come to the building first, especially if you are not one who has complete access to the alarms and everything else. Otherwise, you'll be setting off the alarm system and taxing our first responders in a way they don't need to be taxed right now, I'm sure.
What should people do if they don't have access to the kind of technology we're becoming more dependent on? Can the church help?
Yes, we have people, if you send an email to me or the office, we can get somebody to help work with you over the phone to walk you through it. As we talk about these Zoom meetings, that is an online website that you can go to. However, they all have a way to connect with just a telephone. So as long as you have a telephone in the house, we can help you connect. And we can also set up phone calls from people to make sure that you are getting contact and being kept up to date if the technology still is not something you want to worry about right now.
Mm-hmm. And we're obviously doing our worship service online this morning, as we will be in the future, and we hope to learn some things and experiment with different online tools and make it increasingly interactive.
Yes.
So, other questions that people might have?
How can congregants help if they want to help, whether they're quarantined or not? What are some things that they could do?
We are organizing folks who are able to be out and about a little bit to run errands for some of our older or more compromised people who can't get out. We will be setting up opportunities for people to call and do check-ins for some of our members who live alone or need to be contacted. We certainly encourage people to take advantage of all the platforms and tools that we're creating as we go along. So be with us for the Zoom meetings. If you have a committee or a small group and you want to meet by Zoom, we can help you make that happen. Within your own friendship circles, the people you know, the people that you care about, check in with them, keep those connections alive. You can still contribute to the work of the hunger outreach team, either financially online or by making sandwiches or other meal items at home. They're still operating because the need, of course, is increasingly great. They're following also CDC and local guidelines, but the work goes on, so that's another thing people can participate in, and keep an eye out for the activities that we're creating to keep in touch with each other.
That sounds great. And we'll have all of that on the website. Try and keep the important things on the very front page as they roll through. So keep an eye on that and the Facebook group page.
Anything about the annual meeting? What are we thinking about that?
We're still working on exactly what that's going to be. We don't anticipate being back able to join in groups, so we're trying to figure out ways to work within our Constitution and bylaws that say we have to have a meeting in May. We definitely will need to elect the new officers and let the others step away from the board. So we're going to keep working on that and get back to everybody and invite you to participate to the best of your technological abilities.
So watch for the newsletter, watch what's happening on our website, watch for the Flickr every week. There will be more and more information.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrea. We appreciate your leadership.
To be kind is to acknowledge other people and make them feel good.
Being kind to me means to be caring or to, I guess, respect other people.
It means be kind to be generous. Let's say if someone dropped their sandwich, you should help them out.
It's important to be nice to other people so that they feel that they have a part in the community, that somebody cares for them.
You don't know where they're coming from, what struggles they're having.
If you be nice, it gives you a magical life. If you're not nice to other people, they might be mean to you. If you're not nice, maybe they don't want to play with you. You won't have any friends. The other person can feel bad, and then they're uncomfortable.
I mean, why would you want to pick on someone else? Like, because they might be different from you, or like different race, they might come from a different place.
Even if someone's different from you, you shouldn't like bully them or be mean to them.
How is it gonna benefit you to making them feel bad?
If you're not nice to people, it might come back to you.
Treat them how you want to be treated.
The outside human being is the cover of the book. The inside might be a very good story, but you would never know if you didn't get past the first page.
Where you come from makes you special.
I feel everyone's equal because I'm a girl. That doesn't mean I'm weaker.
We're all the same species. We all have the same things inside of us.
I don't think color or race or ethnicity is much of a difference between people. I think all in common, we just want to be loved, we want to have a place to sleep at night, and we just want to have a great future.
My hope for the future is to give everyone the same right and feel safe wherever they are.
I want everybody to turn good, and I hope nothing bad happens to anybody.
I hope you respect other people.
I hope that you won't be judged on how privileged and how much money you have. You're judged on who you are.
I hope that everyone will be nice to each other. And that's my hope.
What if you thought of it as the Jews consider the Sabbath, the most sacred of times? Cease from travel, cease from buying and selling. Give up just for now on trying to make the world different than it is. Sing, pray. Touch only those to whom you commit your life. Center down. And when your body has become still, reach out with your heart. Know that we are all connected in ways that are terrifying and beautiful. You could hardly deny it now. Know that our lives are in one another's hands. Surely that has come clear. Do not reach out your hands, reach out your heart. Reach out your words. Reach out all the tendrils of compassion that move invisibly where we cannot touch. Promise this world your love, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, so long as we all shall live.
My name is Sherry Ansbach, and I've been a member of All Souls since 1980. I had been living in Kansas City for a year before I came to All Souls. And at the time, I was missing people on the East Coast who I had been with and lived for 10 years. And that was quite a different scene for me. I came to All Souls and I found that it didn't take long, that I was saying like most people said, I feel at home. Where have I been? This is my church. I joined different committees. I helped in RE. I became a board president and served on several committees. It was an exciting time. And what I found was that I made friend after friend after friend. And to this day, I can look in the directory and see how many friends I've made. Thank you for those friendships that mean so much. Commitment to me meant that I had to pledge. Not very much in the beginning, but I changed that commitment each year. And today, after 40 years, here we are in a pandemic. That's surprising. It brought me to the question, what do I want All Souls to be when I'm not here? And the answer to that question is what keeps me giving and giving and giving. It means that I want this church to be strong and vital and here for the next generation. I want the next generation to be saying, this is my church. I love this church. I want to be here. And that will only happen if we make it happen. So I ask you to ask yourself, what do you want All Souls to be when you're no longer here? Please, let it be so.
Thank you, Sherry. Not even the experts can say with any certainty what the impact of this pandemic will be on the national and global economy. In the long run, it might offer us the opportunity to set better priorities around productivity and wealth, but that's a long way off just now. For the moment, All Souls would like to remain a responsible employer and seek not to cut the pay of our most vulnerable staff members. This will be possible if our members continue to support our religious community as generously as we can. In order to simplify our bookkeeping in the midst of the complexities of online giving and staff working from home, we will suspend our special collections for the time being. You will find details for making a contribution to the church or to our hunger outreach team work at our website. Please visit www.allsoulskc.org/giving to make a donation. If you are able to give at this time, your contribution will be received with much gratitude.
I would be true, for there are those who trust me. I would be fair, for there are those who care. I would be strong, for there is much to suffer. I would be brave, for there is much to dare. I would be brave, for there is much to dare. I would be kind to all, the foe, the friendless. I would be gentle with all lives that grow. I would be humble, for I know my weakness. I would be wise, for there is much to know. I would be wise, for there is much to know. each passing moment, I would be constant to my word indeed. I would be witness to the claim of justice. I would be light to any soul in need. I would be light to any soul in need.
The words for the usual dedication of our offering will appear on your screen. Please join with me. We dedicate our offerings and our actions to the mission at the heart of this congregation, to build a respectful, caring community, to inspire personal and spiritual growth, and to create change toward a just and compassionate society.
Good morning. This is Keely Schneider, and I come to you this morning from my office, actually, here to do the reading. And the passage this morning is All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten by Robert Fulghum. Most of what I really need to know about how to live and what to do and how to be, I learned in kindergarten. Wisdom was not at the top of the graduate school mountain, but there in the sand pile at Sunday school. These are the things I learned. Share everything. Play fair. Don't hit people. Put things back where you found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands before you eat. Flush. Warm cookies and cold milk are good for you. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some. And draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work. Every day some. Take a nap every afternoon. And when you go out into the world, stay connected. Watch out for traffic and stick together. Be aware of wonder.
Thank you to Keely and to Rebecca for recording this morning's readings, and to Angie Jennings for her help with that. In perilous times, when facing into a huge blast of the unknown, it can be helpful to go back to the basics, like kindness and fairness and honesty. Those values are easy to understand, and they never go out of date. It's hard to have any long-term strategy when we can barely know what the next day might bring, and the next week is anybody's guess. Even when our horizon is limited to what is right in front of us right now, we can still ask ourselves, am I being truthful? Am I being fair? Am I being kind? If the public in general had more confidence in the honesty and compassion of our highest level leaders nationally and globally, I suspect we would be facing this crisis in better order, with less confusion and disarray. But as helpful as it is to have information we can trust, it is even more important to see demonstrated behavior that we can trust. When our elected leaders seek to profit in the stock market based on confidential knowledge, which they then do nothing with to help us, the people they represent, it leaves us to wonder whether we too should grab what we can and hoard what we have to protect ourselves when the networks we all depend on begin to fall apart. The trouble is, it is precisely that default of individuals to their own short-term benefit that causes those networks to fail. And such behavior is neither natural nor inevitable, nor is it in anybody's long-term best interest. History is filled with examples showing that communities that stick together and help each other fare better for everyone in a crisis than those who declare every man for himself. It can be hard to hold on to that awareness in the midst of unprecedented upheaval. It is always tempting to react out of the amygdala, the reptile brain that seems to specialize only in self-preservation, with no thought to spare for neighbor or culture or species. And yet, assuming that some critical mass survives, those are the very essential things to rebuilding a thriving world. Without community and culture, Homo sapiens, the social species, is robbed of its true nature. We need to remember that helping each other is part of our evolutionary heritage, a survival strategy that compensates for our very deficient strength, or speed, or toxicity, or protective coloring, or sense of smell, compared to the rest of the animal kingdom. That innate impulse in us to congregate, to touch and groom each other, to connect and collaborate, is precisely why what is asked of us right now to stay separate is so very difficult. It perplexes one of our deepest assumptions and asks us to do something that is contrary to our natures. I say this as an introvert who gains energy from alone time to an extent I don't often have the opportunity to gratify, yet who also realizes that my humanity is a function of my relationships, and my health operates out of our collective well-being. And that paradox has led me to be thinking at odd moments this week about Taoism, a religious teaching that in its classical form celebrates the virtue of non-action. Taoism arose in reaction to the officious ambition for order and control that overtook the royal court traditions of ancient China. The wisest, most spiritually mature person, according to the Taoist sages, was the one who was capable of minding their own business and letting the world unfold according to its nature. To be skillful in this tradition is to observe with great care the way things already are and how they work, and then to change as little as possible to create the best outcome. Restraint is one of the highest virtues. Patience is another. And the humility of not insisting on having things your own way is a third. When the most helpful thing we can do is to stay home, slow down our normal pace of accomplishing things and acquiring things, well, then maybe a bit of Taoist wisdom is in order. Actually, this spiritual path is not altogether unique to Taoism. It is sometimes called the via negativa, the way of knowing the divine by observing what it is not, a kind of process of elimination. It is the scientific humility of the early Enlightenment philosopher Francis Bacon, who observed that nature, in order to be commanded, must be obeyed. In other words, if you want to make something happen in the natural world, you have to understand clearly how whatever process you are intervening in works, and then participate with that process as you seek to guide its outcome. Study the Tao, the reality of how things are, and then act within the Tao with as much restraint as possible, the sages would have agreed. The ancient Hindu teachers advised the student to try to locate the sacred source of selfhood, and then they met every suggestion about what it might be with the reply, neti, neti, not this, not that. Only when all attempts to identify and describe, which are also efforts to control, are exhausted, does the seeker understand the pure essence of being that is actually holy. Cease from travel. Cease from buying and selling. Give up just for now on trying to make the world different than it is. Thus says the Jewish Sabbath, in the words of Lynn Unger. And that time out of time is to be welcomed like a beloved bride. There will be suffering before we are done here. That much is certain. There will be heartache and loss and righteous anger and helplessness. All of these will visit us in our quarantines, no matter how comfortable and well supplied we make them, because we are simply not designed for separation, and we'll get tired of it very fast. There will be danger and illness, and we will have to meet them in unaccustomed ways. We will need to practice the virtues of restraint and non-action, which our 21st century American culture has not prioritized to teach us up to now. Our Yankee ingenuity calls us to fix things right away. It does not respond well to living with uncertainty and the unknown, when it may well be that the best thing we can do is nothing, to not get in the way, to not spread the contagion, to not make ourselves ill, to not use up resources that the more vulnerable are going to need. Let's give this a shot, my dear ones. Let's try to keep it together for the sake of survival and community and those whose lives will be shaped by what we do or leave undone. And let's not forget that even in the context of this restraint, we can still practice honesty and fairness and kindness, not just when it comes easily, but most essentially and importantly, when it is hard. The day will come, I am confident, when we and others will look back at this time and reflect on our behavior, on how we contributed to the safety and well-being of our larger community, or how we got in the way, about how we stuck to our values or sacrificed them for the sake of indulging fear and despair. If you are going to spend time ruminating, I invite you to reflect on that. What do you want to be able to say about yourself when this is over? I was kind, I was fair, I was honest, I did my part, nobody got the virus because of me. That much, it seems to me, is worth a try. Our closing song is Splendor of the Morning Sunlight. Sing along if you like. The words will be on the screen. Love and to help one another. Let's remain risen for our opening song.
Fills me with new hope and courage, lights
we extinguish all these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fires of commitment. For all these we carry in our minds and hands until the time when we shall be together again. Thank you for joining us this morning. Be with us next week when we hope to have put in place the technology for an online social hour following the service. May you all be safe and well this week.